Hello, my name is Abel with Counting Works Pro. Today we're going to review the Manage Clients section of the Client Hub, and you'll see the different sections under that. We have the Client Hub, Workflow, Payments, Forms, and then the Calendar. There's quite a lot of information to cover here, so we'll get through as much as we can in this session, and then if we don't cover a certain part of it, we'll go ahead and continue in another lesson and cover the other parts. But first, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Client Hub section. So I just click on that, and you'll see here I have a client list. It's easy to get your clients loaded in here. And it's also easy to delete clients from here. So to delete a single client, you would go ahead and just click on their name. So here's this demonstration client I added here. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this person, but we can delete multiple people at once if we wanted to. We can just delete a single person, and then we just click on delete. So I'm going to go ahead and do that so I can demonstrate on how to add a client in. So we'll go ahead and click delete here. All right, now that client's gone. So to add somebody in, just a single person, new client in, we can go ahead and click on new client. Just going to type the name, demonstration, and then I'll get the email address I'm going to use for this demonstration client. Scroll down, select my time zone. I can assign this client to a staff member if I wanted to. I'm just going to leave it blank, and then I click save. All right, now I have the client in my client list. Now to invite the client to this Client Hub, it's simple. All I need to do is click on this little envelope here, and my client will get an email. All right, so now my client gets an email inviting them to the Client Hub, and I'll show you what that looks like. So here I have just received this email. If I open that up, you'll see the email inviting the client to the Client Hub is branded with the company's logo. It's personalized by loading the client's first name in here. It lets them know we're invited to join this account. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on Create Account. I'm going to set up a password. I'm going to create the account. And this is from the client's perspective, so your customer's perspective. They get to review the terms of service that are offered, and they agree to them. Once they do that, they're brought into the client view, so your client's view of the Client Hub. All right, so they can see different things here. But we're going to go back to the tax professional's view. This is what it looks like on your end. All right, you'll see we can chat with our customer. We can search for messages, but we can do things like say hello. Just testing things out. Click on the little send button here. We can upload files to this customer. We can create a folder. You have the option to give the folder a name. So I'm just going to name this 2023 tax documents since we're now in tax season. We'll click save. So we have two options here. Public means that the files are viewable by your client. Private means that only you can see this folder, and anything you put in that folder is private to you. But we're just going to go ahead and save that here. All right, so now I have this folder here. I'm going to go ahead and upload a document to it. So I'm going to go into it. I'm going to go here to click on Upload Files. I'm going to select the file by clicking into this box here. And here you'll see I can upload compliance acknowledgement agreement. So this is just a file I'm using to demo this tool. We'll click Save. Now we see the files here. Now if you want to see what your customer sees, You can see it here on this screen. So this is the customer view. You'll see there's documents in here. They can see them. They can check the box to download them. They can click on this download arrow. They can download it from here from these three dots. They can see the chat message you sent them. They can request a project. There's quite a few things that can be done in here, but we'll cover the client view in another section. But I think you get the idea. Also, I wanted to show you that the notification. So your customer is notified when a new document's been shared with them. They're notified when they successfully register for the system. All right, so we'll go back over here to the tax professionals view. You'll see there's some other tools here from within the client view. We can do things such as send our customer a form. Click on there. We can send them a document to be e-signed, a proposal, an intake form. Uh, there's tasks. We can send our customers a to-do. So we can request things for them to do here. So these are things we should probably set up first before we start, as we start setting our portal up. We can make notes. These are notes just for the tax professional. They can make notes about the client. Taxpayers, kids are name Jim and Sally. Ages 16 and 18. Save that there. So now we have a note here that's always we can always find in the notes section. So we can go here to notes. So here's our notes section. We can search through the notes. We can add notes here. You'll see we can see the different jobs that are associated with this customer, pipelines, to-dos. Now, if you want to add a spouse or a collaborator on this account, we can. We can do that by clicking on this little edit pencil, clicking on add, and here we check the box if they're going to share the same email address to log in. We can check that box. We can just add, and that'll make it so that we just add the collaborator's first and last name. We can choose their relationship. So if they're a relative or if they're um, team member. So like let's say the collaborator is going to be. So let's say we're setting up a company. The way we'd set up a company is we'd enter an email address and password. Then everyone from that company can use that same email address or password. Or if they wanted to have it so that everybody from that company use their own email address and company email address and name, we can do that as well. By unchecking that box, they put their name, the company email address in here and save. Now, let's say that you're preparing a tax return for the company, but you also prepare tax returns and documents for the individual separate from the company. In this instance, what you would do is you would add the client to the ClientHub list with their own personal email address, and then they would have two logins. They'd have one login for logging in to access their personal information. They'd have another email address to log in to access the account that they're collaborating with. Uh, 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 whose account, or company account they're collaborating on. So just be aware of that. If you're preparing you're working with a company, they would have an account for their company, and then people can collaborate with that. I would use the company email addresses to add as collaborators on that. And if you're also doing their personal tax returns, they would add their personal email addresses here, and you would um, work on share files with them related to their personal account, uh, you know, using their personal email address. Hopefully that's clear. If you have questions on that, be sure to let us know. All right, so we're going to go ahead and close that down. We're going to go ahead and expand this main menu here by clicking on the arrow. open that up. We're going to take a look at some of the other things we need to set up right away, things such as forms. So we can set up different types of forms that get sent out. We can set up proposals, we can set up intake forms, and we can set up documents to be e-signed. Okay, so let's say we have a pretty common document that needs to be e-signed. We can set that up. I would set it up. So let's say there's an engagement letter, and you want to have both the if it's a single person, you just need to have the one person sign it. But if it's a married couple, and either you want to have the taxpayer and their spouse all sign it, I would set up the engagement letter. One engagement letter for single signers, another one for couples. All right. And then once it's set up, you can click on request signature. All right. And if you want to see how to set that up, I'm going to go ahead and click create document here. Click on this little box here. We're going to load a document in here. And this is how we set it up. So, we're going to scroll down to where. So here's the signature boxes. We just move the signature boxes here. I'm not going to go through all of this, but I'm going to show you how to. This is how we're going to indicate where the primary taxpayer signature goes, and then this is how we're going to indicate where the a collaborator goes, or a spouse. We click Add Collaborator, and we can just call them Spouse. Click Save, and we're going to go ahead and move that over here. All right, so now the spouse signs here, the primary taxpayer signs there. All right, we're going to give this document a name. All right, so we're going to save this. All right, now that it's saved, we're going to be able to choose it and send this to people. All right, so here's the document with just a single signer. So when we want somebody to sign this, we click on request signature. We choose who we want to sign it. So go down here. So first we're going to go ahead and choose the engagement letter with a single signer. That's already selected. Next, we'll choose the person we want to sign this. All right, and then we can preview it. If we want knowledge base authentication, we're going to leave this box flagged on and input the taxpayer's phone number here. They're going to get a text message when it's time to sign, and they're going to get a code in that text message. They use that code, they enter it into the system before they can actually sign. All right, so that's the gist of how you send out an e-sign document. We can also add a document to be e-signed during the course of a proposal. So let's say we want to send out a proposal to a customer. And to do that, we can set that up here. So we can create our proposal. We'll click on the create button. All right. So you'll see there's little plus buttons here. So before we start using proposals, the first thing we actually should do is set up the payments tab. All right, so we go to paid services. Here's where we create all the different services that we want to send out in our proposals. We set these up here. You can just click on create paid service. You'll see the options. We give it a name, an amount, what type of billing it's going to be, one time, monthly, per hour. How many of these do you want to make available? Then you click create paid service. After you've created all your services, then you can come back here to proposals and start setting up a new proposal. So click create new proposal. All right, we can add our engagement letter that we set up to this proposal. We can go ahead and search for the one. So I think it was single signer. No, yes. Engagement letter single signer. So we want to add this engagement letter that we set up earlier to this proposal. Obviously, we choose our website, our name, titles. Here's where we add the products or services uh, that we set up earlier. All right, so we can just come here, paid service, set that up. We can add content. So here's where the menu is. You can add different sections to your proposal here. All right, and this is where you add the services you want to use or include in this proposal. So since that's already there, I'm going to remove this section because it's duplicated. We're going to save this. We got to give it a title. All right. So once you add that services block there, you can choose which services you want to add to this proposal. They're all listed here. You can search for them. You can add them in. You can make a service required. So um, it's required before they can complete the sign. Well, once they complete the um, signing process, they're brought to a payment screen where they pay for their services. And give it a title. I'm not going to send this out. We can cover this in another video, but there is a lot here. We're going to move along to intake forms. So in this section, so this is where we can set up all the different uh, tax organizers we want to send out. We would set that here up here under intake forms. There's some templated ones here that we can customize. That way we're not starting from scratch. And I'll show you what those look like. So we'll go down to edit. So here, this section is where we add our image. We can give it a caption or title. This is where we can add questions. We can make some required. We can include some as part of automations. But that is all done here in this section. All right, so we can these intake forms go out by where your customer gets notified that that you sent them one by email. They open up that email. They're brought into a screen where they can answer these questions. Once they're done completing these questions, they're brought to you're notified and you're able to review their answers to these questions. So we can ask them things like their name, state of residence, what do they normally use, standard deduction, itemize. Um, we can ask whatever type of questions we want. There's different ways we can set these up and lists, buttons. There's a lot of different tools we can use to set up our forms. All right, so we covered here under forms, proposals, intake forms, and e-sign. To use proposal, if you're going to be using the proposals tool, I would first set up the payments screen. To do that, we would connect the Stripe account. So it's fairly intuitive. First, you would set up your Stripe account with Stripe. Then you would log in here and connect it. You'll see a button here to do that. Once you've set up Stripe and connected it, you'll see these paid services tab, and this is where you set up your services. Once you're done setting up your services, you can set up proposals, but you always have the opportunity to set up intake forms and e-sign. All right, hopefully that makes sense. And then finally, we're brought to the workflow tab. So workflows, the workflow tab has all the different types of engagements we offer. So we would set up the different types of engagement. An engagement type would be considered a pipeline. So let's click new pipeline. So we have all these different engagement types here under pipeline. So then once you create an engagement type, set it up with all the different milestones that you would perform with in that engagement type. You can begin adding customers to it. So let's say you've sent a proposal to your customer. They've checked off the services they want to order. They then make payment, and a job is created. Your customer is then added to the pipeline. And you can add a customer manually to a pipeline by clicking on new job. You would just select the client. You're going to add this who's engaged you for a particular type of job. You would add them here. Once you've added them, there's a card here for them, and then you just move them along the different milestones. All right. These different milestones can be tied to different types of automations, and you set up automations here by clicking on the automations button. All right, so here's a milestone. If I wanted to add an automation here, I would add it, send it, take form. Whenever somebody lands into this pipeline milestone, we want this action to happen, and then we save it. Then anytime we move a customer into that pipeline and that has that automation set up, that automation is triggered. All right, I'm running short on time here, so hopefully this quick tutorial has been helpful. If you have any questions, be sure to contact us by emailing help@countingworkspro.com, or you can give us a call or use the little chat bubble on our website, and you'll notice that is here. All right, thank you.